Welcome back to the Morning Blend. Have you ever considered putting a tracking device on your car to see where your teen driver is going? Technology is accelerating at such a fast pace, and today we're looking at tracking devices. Could one of them be right for your family?
Anne Scallon is back from Before the Wheel to talk more about this, and parents and teens should not think of it as spying, she says. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
It sort of is spying, though.
Yes, it is. And
just don't think of it that
way. You know, the key is to get a feel for your teen. When you're out there, when they have their temps and you're doing that practice driving, minimum 30 hours before they can get their probationary license, that is really a good bonding time. It's an awkward time because it's a lot of jolting back and forth, but it's a good time to get that emotional IQ of your teen and how they feel about driving.
Okay.
And then you wouldn't introduce the concept of the monitoring device in the car. You would do that separately.
So how do parents determine if it's right for them and their child and have that conversation, or do you just sneak it in there?
Well, as I've said before, you know, always do the conversations in a relaxed environment, a pizza parlor, a favorite coffee shop, ice cream shop, that type of thing. And again, it's a feel for your teen. You know, some teens, this isn't talked about a lot, but some teens are overly cautious, which also can cause a problem with driving. That teen wouldn't be a good one for the monitoring device.
Well, because that's what I wanted to know. Are these monitoring devices for the teen, or are they for the parents?
They're for both.
Okay.
A teen needs to realize that if they utilize a lot of harsh braking, fast accelerating, speeding, that these are going to be sometimes lifetime habits that they're going to have to change. And you will see some of those early drivers have trouble, you know, getting out of that habit.
Well, and what is it? Because we saw some video of it. It looks like a GPS. It looks like a map, like an app for a map.
Right.
And it does show the route, right? So what else? And there's different kinds of devices, not just one. Right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
There's several companies that offer them. Many of the major insurance companies offer a monitoring device, and sometimes you can get a pretty big discount, like about 15% off on your insurance. You combine that with a good grade discount and a good driver discount, you've got a good discount going.
Yeah.
Well, and let's talk about what people are the different possibilities. There's a letter grade, a C. So after your teenager takes the car out, there is a report generated, and they actually receive a letter grade.
Right, and the parent will get an email. So that's a good time to sit down with your teen again and try to be very positive. But they need to know that there's behaviors that aren't good for their safety, for their long-term driving, and for the car. I mean, just think of what happens to your car when all this harsh braking and harsh accelerating happens.
It looks like it's just kind of plugged into your car.
Right, right. You can just plug it right in, and there's not a lot involved. You usually pay a one-time fee, but then there's also a small monthly fee.
Is it expensive?
It's not expensive. There's one for $80, so that's not very expensive.
Up front, $80.
Up front, and they go up to $150, and then somewhere between like $20 and $40 a month.
Okay. If people visit you online, can they kind of review these different devices? Do you have information there about it, or where's a good place for people to go to find out more?
The Consumer Reports has a very good, just Google the teen monitoring devices. Another thing too that we've often talked about in our segments is that it's very important to have an end date. You know, teens just, if they feel like, okay, I'm going to be monitored, when's this going to end or whatever, give them an incentive. We're going to tie this in with your probationary license, which lasts 9 months.
Okay.
You can only have one other teen driver in the car for that 9 months. Let's tie this in with it. And then at the end of that, kind of evaluate, you know, how you did over the several months, and you might not need the device. And then the teen feels like they have a goal to work toward.
Yeah, so this isn't something you continue all through just to watch them. It's
truly,
I know, that's what I was thinking too. Like, keep your eye on them. But this is really just to make sure that there's accountability on their behaviors while they're driving, and basically get them off on the right habits. I think that's a really, I think that's a great conversation to be able to have, and it's comfortable for both the teen and the parent, and probably doesn't feel so bad, you know?
Right.
Well, and I think the parent should put themselves, generate a report on their own driving.
That's a very
Molly,
good
do
point.
you really
That's
think
a very
that?
good point.
Oh, let's see it. You got an extra one?
I do.
We'll plug it in on Molly.
To be fair, I would love to see what my letter grade would be on driving. I would hope that it would be really good, but it might not be, and that may be an important part of the conversation, no?
I think it is an important part of the conversation.
Great idea.
And, you know, I do recommend that parents, they do have defensive driving classes. You sometimes have to go to Madison. You will be surprised to find out
bad habits.
what bad habits you're doing. And I was in a defensive driving class about 6 years ago, and they told me I was an aggressive driver.
No way.
Yes. Really? So I had some habits I really had to change. I thought,
Like
you know,
what made you
well,
an
if
aggressive
somebody's
driver?
doing something wrong, I would, you know, be laying on the horn. Well, again, we've talked about people make mistakes, and you really can't, you know, it's different than somebody who's weaving in and out continuous, but for a simple mistake, you shouldn't really be laying on. You're kind of accelerating the bad temper.
You know,
I'm a waver. I wave, thanks.
I'm like,
because I'm usually the one making the mistake.
Yeah, that's me too. But I always feel too when people make simple mistakes, because everybody does it. I never lay on the horn because I think, what if they just found out today they had cancer, or their boyfriend broke up with them, or their child is missing, or whatever it is.
Exactly.
You know, they had a bad day.
Exactly.
You know. What about cell phones in terms of texting and the use of a cell phone? Do these monitoring or tracking devices give any type of report in terms of the young driver if they're using those mobile devices?
They do not give a report on that. They're mostly working on what's happening with the car and the functioning of the car. But you can, most of the major cell phone companies have a device where you can turn that device on and the phone will go off once you're going 25 miles per hour.
Really?
It'll go completely
off. Is that a
off.
free app? Do you know?
I'm not sure about whether I would think so, though. So that's very useful in stopping the texting behavior, or as we've talked about, that, you know, hearing that noise and wanting to grab it.
It's tempting. We were talking about the fact that you hear that sound of your phone ringing or a text. It's like, who's texting me? Am I missing something? Am I late for something? Am I, you know? So I think that's kind of a good way to monitor their habits a little bit.
Thanks, Anne. Exactly. Thank you.
All right, here's more information. You can go to beforethewheel.com. There's great videos and coaching strategies out there for your teen driver.
Great to see you. Thank you so much.